Welcome to the first episode of Season 8, Bottom of the Stream movie show.
We're back, and we're back, and we're bigger, and we're back to do what we do best, talk about movies.
We are indeed.
And look for hidden gems on Netflix.
That's what we do. So we started the show to go through Netflix, watching films that nobody's ever heard of, and trying to find stuff that people should have heard of.
It's what brought us to the dance.
It is. We've been
we're
doing it a
still
long
dancing.
time now. 4 years at the end of this season.
My feet are quite tired.
Mine too. We'll have done 200 films when we get to the end of this season.
So exciting.
This is the 176th film we've ever reviewed on the show.
Amazing.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Not out.
Not out. And the film that we've chosen to open season 8 with is called It's debatable what this movie's called. I've done some research. So the movie is called The Cleanse.
Okay.
In America and on Netflix.
Right.
In the UK, it's called The Master Cleanse, but not on Netflix.
Okay.
Because Netflix decided to call it The Cleanse. So if there was another way to watch this in the UK, you would be watching The Master Cleanse.
Well, can I ask a question there?
Yes.
Because obviously I can understand why this is called The Cleanse.
Yeah.
Because, well,
you'll
hear it
out
out
as we go through, but yeah.
What's the Master Cleanse?
I've not a clue.
Why
Not
are we adding a
fucking
word that seemingly has,
No.
from my recollection of this movie, which I only watched a few days ago, has nothing to do with it?
No, it's a movie about a cleanse.
Yeah.
Like a
Juice diet.
juice cleanse retreat. Yeah, no, not a fucking clue. I don't know why we can't just have a movie called The Cleanse and we have to put that word in, but Netflix have been like, no, fuck it. We're just calling it The Cleanse all over the world.
Stick it to the man.
Exactly. The Cleanse came out in 2016. It's a 15. It runs for 1 hour and 21 minutes and currently rated at 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb. 5.1?
I'm not saying I think that is. I don't want to give away if I think that's low, but I'm surprised it's that low because I think people who like this will really like it.
Yeah, but there's maybe just not that many people that do.
Maybe it's just a lack of
exposure
for the movie.
Could be.
I was surprised. That was my initial reaction.
Okay,
on that rating.
Cool. Unfortunately, if you want to watch this movie, you need to watch it before the end of November 2022 because it is leaving Netflix on the 30th of November.
It might be back, but
it might be back. It doesn't appear. I don't
future.
think it's been there that long. So
I feel it also has not been on.
It's
Netflix
not been on our list for very long.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is leaving. So if you are going to watch it, stop this episode now, go and watch it, and then come and listen to it because we're going to spoil the fuck out of it. So if you're going to watch it, you might as well watch it first. This film stars a guy called Jonny Galecki. Galecki or Galecki?
I always thought Galecki.
Okay, Jonny Galecki. He plays a character called Paul. Obviously most famous for being in The Big Bang Theory, I think.
Sure.
Started off when he was younger in Roseanne.
Sure.
He was in that for quite a long time.
When you think about it, this
been
guy's really had some long-lasting roles.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of, if not even they didn't run for a long time, they're memorable. Obviously The Big Bang Theory. Obviously Roseanne. He's also in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Indeed, yeah, he's one of the kids in that.
Which is probably one of the movies I've seen the most in my life.
Yeah. Great. What a great film. You'll be watching it again this Christmas?
Most probably.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah.
One of my mum's favourites. Jonny Galecki's he seems like he's been around forever. And he has been around forever, pretty much. Also, this film stars a lady called Anna Friel. She plays a character called Maggie. Most famous in the UK for being in Brookside.
Is that what she's most famous? That's where she started.
I'd say
she's had a pretty successful movie career.
Absolutely, but when you say Anna Friel, you think Brookside. In the UK, you think Brookside.
Or that Madonna song.
She was the first person ever to have a pre-watershed kiss on British TV.
With
somebody in Brookside?
With another lady.
With another lady.
Yeah.
Did I not say that?
No, you just said a pre-watershed kiss.
A pre-watershed lesbian kiss is what I meant to say. Apologies. She's also in Limitless with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest film that I found that she'd done.
She's a staple of TV sort of set piece dramas over here, isn't she?
So, did you ever watch Pushing Daisies?
Yeah.
I really liked that.
Yeah,
she was in that. I was really gutted when that got cancelled. Also, this film stars a guy called Kyle Gallner. He plays Eric.
Okay.
I recognise him because he's been in 2 films I've been to the cinema to see this year.
Ooh.
He's in Scream 5, or Scream, as it's known. And he's also in Smile.
Oh, right, okay.
And he's also been on this show before.
Recently. Has he? Recently?
Yes.
Oh. In a supporting role or?
Pretty big role. in a very high up film from season 7 of Bottom of the Stream.
Okay. Was he in Robot Overlord?
Nope.
Okay.
Higher.
Was he in the... No, he wasn't in that. Was he in... No, that's too old. We've literally just been looking at the table. And I can't remember
Do you want me
things.
to put it back up? I've still got it on my screen.
Fine. Was he in... Wheelman?
No. He was in an ensemble piece of 5 people that are around the same sort of age of him, stuck in a situation.
Okay.
Kyle Gallner's in Ghosts of War. He played Tapper in Ghosts of War.
Oh, right. Do you know what? I'm surprised I didn't pick that up.
He does look very different in this film, but yeah, he's the guy who played the crazy person in Ghosts of War.
Yeah, he's better in that.
Yeah, he's not really in this a lot. This film also star. I haven't written it down, but Angelica Huston's in this film. Sure. Oliver Platt's in this film.
Yeah,
there's a big cast in this film.
Yeah.
I feel like it should have been bigger than it is. Something's gone wrong.
It's quite a curio.
Yeah, it is. Something's gone wrong here. Written and directed by the same guy. Bobby Miller wrote and directed this film. He hasn't really done a lot before, but he has just rebooted the Critters franchise in the States.
Oh, lovely.
He's developed a film called Critters Attack, which is on, I think it's on Paramount.
I think you can see why he got that gig.
Yes.
From this movie.
He seems to like not monsters,
Critters.
But
it's a
critters.
great word.
It's a critter, yeah. Do you have a one-word review of this film that's not Critters?
Sluggish.
That is wonderful. You've excelled yourself there. Well done. That is exactly how I would describe this movie. Where does this movie start, Nick?
It's a storm.
It's
a rainy night. Not unlike the night when I was watching this movie, I think. We're in
a lot of them lately.
We're in a diner.
Yep.
And an awkward man appears.
It's a great way to describe Jonny Galecki.
And is he just trying to make friends?
Yeah, he's talking. There's a man sitting next to him in this diner who's eating the most enormous sandwich I've ever seen.
He's downing a massive wiener.
He's eating a big hot dog, and it's covered. There's more toppings than hot dog.
Yeah.
And yeah, Paul, who is Jonny Galecki's character, tries to make friends with this guy, and this guy's not really having any of it.
He's like, oh, that looks really good. And this guy's just let me fucking eat my sausage.
Yeah. So then he tries to make friends with the waitress. He asks the waitress, he's like, I've been here before, do you remember me? I was like, that's really
very weird.
Very weird thing to say to somebody.
And she says, that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, and no, I don't.
Did you used to come in here a lot? I see a lot of people, dude.
Yeah. But then she says, maybe did you used to come in with a girl? And he's like, yeah, don't bring up the girl, Jesus. Yeah. So he goes home. He doesn't make any new friends, so he goes home and just eats some chocolate.
He lives in a hovel.
He does, yeah. He's not in a good place in his life,
no.
old Paul. We find out later on he's just lost his job and he's just split up with his fiancée.
He goes home and
he's reacted to that in the way that most men do.
He Googles, does psychiatry work?
Yeah, wow. What are things at Google? I would love it if it just went, nah. Google just like, no, it doesn't. And he falls asleep on the sofa that night.
It's
covered in chocolate and
dirty.
beer. Yeah.
This flat, is dirty. Like the people in the flat above him are just constantly banging.
Yeah.
So there's just noise.
Yeah, he's not in a good place in his life. He wakes up when an advert wakes him up on the TV that he's left on.
Yeah.
For a free of charge wellness retreat that's open to everybody. Anybody can apply.
Sure.
It's just one of these like late night adverts that nobody ever sees.
Yeah,
but he's
like
managed
public
to see
access type stuff.
And he needs to go to letsgetpure.com. I went to letsgetpure.com.
Oh, did you?
Night. It does not exist.
Oh, man.
Which is interesting because we should maybe register it. Just redirect our website.
You may be overestimating the value of the impact of this movie.
Any advertising is good
fine.
advertising. And then the film hits a title card. Quite late on, but it hits the title card.
Yeah, he rolls over, goes back to sleep, and bam, title
card.
Quite like that.
Yeah, I did as well. Because I wasn't expecting it because we were quite a long way into this film by this point. Well, not a long way, but we were a good few minutes in. And then the title card fades away and he's going to Let's Get Pure's offices.
Yeah, straight in there.
Straight in. We're not hanging around. One thing I would say about this film is we do not hang around. It's on for 81 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it fucking moves.
It's taut.
It is taut. It's very tight. It's very neat. He goes to their offices. There's a few people there.
He's got suited for it and everything.
Yeah, he's suited up. It's basically we're going to try and sell you this retreat.
Yeah.
And see who we want to come on. There's probably, 10, 15 people there?
Yeah, but it's just a rented room in a...
Yeah, it's just a rented office space.
Because
There's an A4 printed sign on the door.
To let's get pure. But they say this. I hit myself in the ear. They say that this retreat is sponsored and devised by the Roberts Institute.
Yes, it's a legit thing that's going on. There's quite a funny joke at this point because the guy's like, everybody's here today to change their lives, and if you're not here for that, you should probably leave now. And there's a little old lady at the back just gets up and walks out.
Yeah, very slowly.
Very slowly.
Very old.
It made me laugh. It was very funny. So yeah, she goes, but everybody else stays.
And then they basically get a presentation from two representatives of this company, and they sort of lead with, I feel like I was supposed to know this as well, but I didn't. Oh, you've all heard of the lemon cleanse.
Yeah.
It's world famous.
I've not heard of it.
No, me neither. Well, we've improved that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're offering.
Yeah. So basically, these people are here. They're not all going to get to go.
No.
But they're basically applying
this
to
is
go.
Like an assessment
it's basically, you might get chosen to go on this retreat. The first thing they get told to do is think of your pain.
Yeah.
So he's like, close your eyes, think of your pain. And Paul's nearly in tears at this point. He genuinely has pain that he's thinking about. Maggie reveals her pain to the group.
They're asking for volunteers to share what their issues are because they're being recorded for Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, so he can choose who's going. Maggie shares her pain. Her husband killed himself recently, and she's not got over that, and that's her pain. Yeah. Paul shares the pain that he's recently lost his job, and his fiance's left him, and he's from New Jersey, which is quite horrible, apparently, according to this film.
Oh, you forgot about Eric.
I did forget about Eric.
Eric stands up and says, my pain is that I was on Facebook the other day, and I posted that my friend was a dick licker, but he's not.
I don't know what's funny about dick licker, but it's funny.
Well, until I learned this character's name, for the next page in my notes, I've called him Dick Licker.
Eric's like he's in a couple with this other girl.
His girlfriend has dragged him
there, so he's not taking it as seriously as everybody else, should we say? Then a little bit later on that day, Paul is getting his blood and pee tested. He's like going through some stuff to make sure he's well enough, I suppose. And he bumps into Maggie in the corridor.
And he's already, because he's weird.
He is weird. He's
already in love with her.
Yeah.
All he's done is listen to her for 2 minutes
across the room.
Yeah.
And he's already in love with her. He tells her she's very brave for sharing that story, and he's very proud of her for doing so. And she's like, I made that up. It's not true. My husband's not dead. I've never even had a husband. And he can't really understand that.
He's like, yeah, I made mine
up my story's made up as well. Yeah. She runs out. The phone starts ringing. She runs out at that point. Then he gets home. He's kind of hanging around in his apartment waiting for the phone because he's told we'll call you today.
Yeah,
you'll know today. So he's kind of hanging around at home waiting for the phone to ring. And just as the phone rings, a rat gets caught in a rat trap but doesn't die.
Yeah,
and it's just like squeaking in the background. Then the people upstairs have started fucking again. So there's all sorts of fucking noise going on. Yeah. He calls the superintendent of the building, I guess, to come and deal with the rat.
He turns up with a spanner,
a massive wrench thing to kill the rat with. So it's all going on, and then as it's all kicking off in his apartment, the phone rings, and he's trying to hear what's going on. But basically, he gets told that he's been selected.
Yeah, congratulations.
He needs to come in and sign some paperwork. Go back to the office to sign some paperwork, and then a vehicle will come and collect you tonight.
Yeah,
and you'll be going to the retreat. So he's quite happy. The man kills the rat, and the people upstairs stop fucking. Everything goes back to quiet normality. And then we see him go to sign the papers.
Yeah.
He basically goes back to these offices. They don't go in. They've just been left on a chair in front of the door.
Yeah, in like an in tray.
Yeah, there's nobody there. He's just got to get them out of this envelope, sign them, put them back.
And he hesitates because he scans through the liability form.
Yeah.
And it is basically absolving the Roberts Institute in the event of their death.
Yeah, if anybody should die, it's not their fault. He's like, fuck it. And he goes to walk away.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not interested in this now. But before he does, he looks through the pile of paperwork and he sees Maggie's name on one of the envelopes. So we know that she's also been selected. And instantly then he signs the papers.
He does, yeah.
He doesn't even give it another thought. He signs the papers and leaves them there. And then we cut to him waiting outside of his apartment at night with a suitcase.
Yeah.
And he gets in the car. But your car pulls up. He gets in the
so
car.
like a nice town car picks him up.
Yeah, comes and picks him up. And he wakes up in that same car the next morning. It's daytime again, so I don't know how far he's been driven.
He's in the country.
He's out in the country somewhere in the woods, and he wakes up in the car. He meets a guy called Fredericks,
Yeah, knocks on the window.
Who's like in charge.
Well, he's like,
he's not in charge, but at this point we feel like he's in charge. So he comes and takes the bags. There's a joke about Peter or Paul?
Paul.
Fucking hell. Paul's bag being like super heavy. But
he's like, what the hell have you bought?
Yeah, none of really.
I thought this was going to be like a theme through it, and then it
never gets mentioned again. We never find out what was even in it.
Whereas Maggie's got like a backpack and a handbag.
Yeah, she's just got like a handbag, yeah. But he sees Maggie across the car park. He starts talking to her. Fredericks is really struggling with Paul's bag. Yeah. This guy's going to die in a minute. And he notices a scratch on Fredericks' arm.
He does,
at this point as well.
And
so
he's like, Paul says, my uncle used to have them like that. Have you got a cat?
Yeah. And Fredericks
I can relate to that because I've had quite a few.
Sometimes you'll come around here and I'm like, yeah, you've got scratches all over your arms. And Fredericks just pulls his sleeve down and goes, yeah, a cat. And he tries to make some small talk with Maggie as their bags are being carried to the room. They're kind of sitting outside, aren't they? Waiting to get into their rooms, I think.
See what had happened.
What's going on. And then the couple show up, Eric and Laurie, I think her name was.
Yes.
They show up. Eric's kind of excited to be there.
I think your first clue, not that you've already had, obviously, a feeling that things aren't quite what they seem, but we look over Paul's shoulder and you see the program for the cleanse. And it's only 3 days.
Yeah.
It says day 1, cleansing.
Yeah, you just basically 1 day of juice cleanse. That's all it is.
Day 2, elimination and isolation.
Yeah.
And then day 3, termination.
This is the point where I'd be worried.
Yeah.
None of those things sound good. So basically four of them have been
They sit chatting, yeah.
Well, Laurie,
what
Eric,
gonna happen?
Paul, and Maggie. They're all sitting chatting, and then an old lady suddenly shows up.
Well, no, we hear screaming first.
We do, yeah. That was weird.
Off screen
screaming,
and then it's getting closer and closer.
And she just shows up screaming, and then she makes everybody else start screaming.
Yeah, it's like
Fredericks is there as well. He's also screaming. This is Angelica Huston's character. She's called Lily, and she's in charge. Yeah. She's like running. She's running this show. And they all get given 4 drinks.
Yeah, a cleansing
kit that's been especially formulated for them, and they've got to drink it by the end of today.
Everybody's is different.
Yes.
She says the ingredients are based on like your responses at the assessment centre. You know, you've got to drink. So you got 4 jam jars.
Yeah, basically.
And she says you've got to drink them all by the end of today.
Yep.
Only drink yours. They're specially formulated for you individually.
Yeah, don't drink anybody else's. Don't eat anything else. Everything else is forbidden. There is some sustenance in the room if you need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically you've got to drink these 4 drinks and not anything else for the rest of today. That's pretty much today's task.
All of them try them.
Yep. All of them.
They're all like a different colour.
Yeah.
And they all agree they taste horrible.
Eric says it tastes like an asshole.
Yeah, he does.
But so they're all like, oh, I'm not drinking that, it's disgusting. But then Paul just suddenly necks his drink down.
Yeah. Lily says, look, I've done it.
Yeah.
They're fine.
They're fine. They're not bad for you. They're fine.
You'll feel brilliant.
You've got to do it.
Yeah.
So Paul necks his, job done. Everybody else follows suit. And then they listen to a message from Ken Roberts, who's the guy in charge. And this is the first montage of season 8.
Sure.
Because they start doing tasks while Ken's doing this.
Team building-y.
Yeah, there's a bit of team building exercise. There's blindfold help through the jungle, through the woods. There's all sorts going on there.
Someone busts out a yurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some hot yurt action. They sit and drink another one of their jam jars in the yurt. That's like saying yurt.
Yurt's a cool word. Yeah, this is a montage of them just all getting to know each other. It's the first montage of season 8. And over the top of it, Ken's talking about what's going to happen.
And he ends with his catchphrase, I presume it's his catchphrase, let's get pure.
Yeah. Then that nighttime kind of falls. Paul goes back to his cabin.
Yeah.
He's got a lovely cabin in the woods. It's lovely. He finishes his last drink.
Yeah, he does.
We follow Paul for a little bit. Eric and Laurie are sitting by the lake finishing their drinks. Although Laurie isn't. Eric is, but Laurie's struggling with hers. And Eric's really up for it, and it was Laurie's idea, so he's like, you need to get on board with this. You've dragged me here.
Yeah, he's like, I'm doing this for you. You wanted me to come.
But he's
why can't you finish yours?
But he's also got a hip flask. He's also got some booze, and they've been told not to drink anything else. Yeah. So bad things could happen if they do. And then we cut back to Paul. Paul's in bed now. He's coughing. He's not in a good way.
More time's passed.
Yeah, it's the middle of the
bed,
night.
So he's waking up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. He's coughing up. He doesn't look well. He looks unhealthy.
Sweaty.
And then he suddenly dives out of bed, runs to the sink in the kitchen and throws up in the plug hole.
Yeah.
In the plug hole? In the sink. Down the plug hole. And as he kind of leaves that, we see something in the plug hole.
Yeah.
He doesn't see it at this point, but we do. We don't know what it is, but there's like a shadowy something going on down there.
Yeah.
And we cut straight to the next morning.
We wake up with Paul.
Yeah, we wake up with Paul. He's hungry.
He is, but he's still not feeling great. And he's like, grabbing his stomach, but he's grumbling. He's like, I need to
check whatever. And this is where we find out there's just broth.
Yeah.
There's just cans of broth in this cabin. So he has some.
He gets. I think he runs the tap for some
reason.
Yeah,
the sink starts bubbling
it's
up.
Blocked,
yeah.
It's backed up.
Yeah. And then we go to they all get together again and we meet with Lily again. And she says they've completed the cleanse. And now we move on to the elimination process.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is she going to start killing people here or what's going to happen?
And Eric says...
At this point, we still don't know what's going on in this film.
No.
We're completely clueless to where this is heading.
And Eric says, does elimination include shitting and vomiting? Because that's all I've done for the last 10 hours.
And she's basically like, well, yeah, that's what it means.
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing.
You will feel worse before you feel better.
Yeah.
But you will feel better.
So the elimination process has already started because they're eliminating things from their body.
But Laurie's not there.
No, she's not.
There's only the three of them. And Lily says Laurie has been having trouble finishing her cleanse.
Yes.
And it's left there.
It's left there. It's an issue. And then the next stage after this would be termination.
Yeah.
Lily can't understand why Eric feels good because she says most people feel bad at this point.
Yeah.
But
But he's quite manic.
He's like wired.
Yeah.
And she can't understand that. And it's obviously because he's not done it properly, but that's what's going on. And then she makes them stare into each other's eyes for a few minutes, which is weird. It's always a horrible thing to have to do to somebody. We cut back to Paul's cabin. We see his sink. His sink's in a state.
The U-bend is basically rotting. It's like
it's all
like alien blood.
Yeah,
it's
oozing and gooey and horrible. The sink's full of black gunge. It's weird. And he kind of drops it on the floor because he unscrews the U-bend and he takes it off to see what's going on. It's all gooey and horrible. And he kind of drops it on the floor. And as he drops it on the floor, a little creature pops out.
Yeah.
It's tiny little rat-like thing on the floor.
It's a slug.
It's a slug, yeah. It's a weird little hairless rat thing, weird on the floor.
It's like part slug, part cat.
Yeah, okay. Weird little horrible thing anyway. So we know he's not good with little creatures because he wouldn't deal with the rat in his apartment earlier.
Yeah.
So he grabs a broom to try and prod it.
Yeah.
And he does prod it. And it moves and he freaks out.
And
he opens his eyes and he makes him jump. So he runs away and he goes to see Lily.
Does he actually say, fuck this?
Yeah, he does. I think he does. And he goes to see Lily. He knocks on Lily's cabin door. And he's like, something's come out of me. What's going on? I need to know what's going on. And she's like, so he's just assumed this has come out of him because he threw up in the sink. It's not just that it's appeared in the sink. Which I don't think I would have assumed that's come out of me straight away, personally.
No.
But he did. So, and she's like, Ken's coming tomorrow. He will explain everything.
Normal.
It's normal. Don't worry. Ken's coming tomorrow. He will explain everything. And when we go back to Paul in his cabin, he's got the creature on a little table.
Yeah.
And it is like a weird slug. It's grown. It's bigger now.
Yeah.
It's lucid, I guess. It's just a little weird creature.
It's like a slimy little Pokemon.
I'll find a picture of it. We'll put it in the Discord. But a slimy little Pokemon is a great way to describe it. And
kind of like salamandery.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's hairless. It's weird.
Yeah.
And Paul says to the creature, what am I supposed to do with you? And so he gives it some chocolate because he's smuggled some chocolate into this camp. He hasn't eaten any. He's not cheated. He's good. But he has smuggled some in. So he feeds it some chocolate and he starts bonding with this little thing.
It kind of like purrs.
Yeah, it does. They're making friends. They're bonding, him and this creature. I'm talking about this like it's normal. This is fucking weird. At this point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is weird. Then he looks out of his window and he sees Maggie out for a jog and then she just collapses on the floor.
Yeah.
She passes out. So he takes her back to her cabin and wakes her up. And he's like, you shouldn't be jogging. We've been told not to do anything physical. We've not eaten for 2 days now.
Exactly.
We've been told not to do any physical activity.
And she's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Just let me
be.
Sleep or whatever.
And then there's a noise coming from under her sink. And it says that she's got a creature too.
Yeah, and he says, she's like, what the fuck's that?
She's not even aware of it.
No.
So it's just under her sink.
And Paul says to her, you haven't seen yours yet. And she's like, what do you mean?
What? See my what?
Yeah.
And there's like a curtain under the sink, and he pulls back the curtain. And her creature's a little bit different. It's pink for a start.
Yeah, it's a bit cuter.
Paul's is blue. It's a bit cuter.
And it's like, it's rotted the U-bend away. So it's sat there
escaped itself
under the
rather
cupboard.
than, I think Paul's might have got out a little bit too early. That's why it looked weird at the beginning. Obviously, like any normal human, Lily freaks out at this point. Not Lily, Maggie freaks out at this point. She starts packing her bag. She's like, fuck this. I'm not dealing with this. Whatever's going on, I'm out. So she packs her bag. She goes outside and she instantly bumps into Lily, who persuades her to go.
She says,
persuades her to stay.
Yeah, give it a chance. Again, same as she said to Paul. Ken's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's normal.
It's fine. Don't worry. The creature's not going to harm you. It's nothing. It's perfectly fine. Well, this is the point we find out that Eric's also got a creature.
Yeah, but they're sitting down by the river.
Yeah. Yeah, they're chilling. He's bonded with his creature already off screen. But we've still not seen Laurie for ages.
No.
She's still not appeared. Paul then goes to see Fredericks, who has a weird name. Why has he got an S on the end of his name?
I presume this is his surname. He's gone out for a walk, I think, just to try and get his head around this. And he hears like a banging and screaming.
Yeah, inside Frederick's cabin. So he knocks on the door and Frederick's kind of like on the floor.
Trapped under a load of furniture.
Yeah. And he's like, what the hell? Paul's like, what's going on? And Frederick's just like, I'm fine, don't worry, leave me alone. You don't need to be here. And then we see Fredericks has got a creature too. And his is fucking massive.
It's like a size of a sea lion.
Yeah, it's huge in his room.
And he's got it like, I think he's got it tied up.
Yeah, I think he had. I think it was like, because we're told that Fredericks doesn't work for the camp. He's just somebody who's been on this retreat.
Yeah.
And hasn't finished, so he's still here.
Right.
That's what we get told at the beginning. Because he hasn't gone through the elimination process yet, so he's just here still. So his has got bigger. When Paul goes back to his cabin, his has also got bigger. It's probably the size of a cat now. Yeah. It's quite a large little. Still looks like a slug. Probably the size of a cat. Maggie's creature won't stop crying.
Maggie comes to the door. Yeah, she's like, "What do I do with this?
What do I do with this?" It's like making noises. It's clearly not happy. It's not bonded with its mother. So she asks Paul for some help to try and deal with it. So he did what he did with his, gives it some chocolate.
Doesn't want the chocolate. They're all in the same room now, and Maggie and Paul's creatures seem to be starting to communicate.
Yeah, they're starting to call to each other. So Paul puts them both on the table. And Paul starts like almost snarling at Maggie's, like it doesn't want to be friends with it anymore. So Maggie picks it up, and as she picks it up, that's her bonding moment with it. Because she chills out a bit, the creature chills out a bit. Maggie's like, this is really strange. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, this is really strange. But Paul says it's not that strange. And I'm like, no, this is really strange. You've evacuated creatures out of your vomit. They're vomit creatures. Have you seen Dreamcatcher? I'm going back to Stephen King again. They're just like that, aren't they? They're little shit weasels. Yeah. It's just like that. It's a really strange film. We find out at this point that we go back to Laurie and Eric. Laurie's pretty bad in bed.
She's in bed.
She's messed up.
She hasn't finished her cleanse.
And
then we see Eric drinking some of
her cleanse. They were specifically not told not to drink each other's. And she hasn't eliminated once since she's been there.
Yeah.
Basically, hasn't shit or vomited since she's been there. But Eric says he's feeling great now. You should try it because
he's ranty.
I've never felt so better. Yeah,
he's manic.
He's in a good place. And he just started freaking out at Laurie a little bit. He's like, "You brought me here. You're fucking
I'm doing it.
Why aren't you doing it?
Pulling your way?" And then his creature is in like the next room of the cabin.
Yeah,
and there's a commotion off screen. So Eric goes to check it out.
He does, because just before he does that, Laurie says to him, "We came here to fix you, not me."
Yeah.
Because he's an alcoholic, basically, I think is what's implied at that point. So yeah, he does. He goes after his creature because it's making weird noises. Paul and Maggie are still together. They're still in the room.
Oh, you missed what happens to his creature. So he goes into the other room and you just hear him say, "Oh, stop. Why are you eating yourself?"
Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't catch that bit. Okay.
And then, that's it.
So the creature ate itself.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Paul's creature, we find out, is imitating the way Paul... Some of his mannerisms. And Maggie's then starts doing the same thing. Yeah. Neither of them had noticed, but they noticed each other as had started doing it. So they're like, well, maybe we should get to know each other a bit more. This is Paul's chat-up line. Let's get to know each other a bit more. And we found out she's an actress, and he worked for a startup.
Yeah,
and they were like an
software
app business,
engineer. Yeah.
And his fiance stood him up at the altar, which is like the worst place to be stood up. You don't want to be stood up there. And then Paul's creature bites him on the finger.
Yeah, he goes. It's making a weird noise, so it goes
to have a look.
and it gives him
Bites
a little
on the
nip.
finger. But he's okay. He's just got a little nip on the finger. Next morning, we cut to the next morning from there. A car shows up. Ken has arrived.
Yeah.
Ken Roberts is in charge of this whole thing. This is Oliver Platt's character, finally appears in the film. Paul wakes up on Maggie's sofa. Maggie also wakes up on her sofa. Yep. They've basically just fallen asleep together. But both their creatures have also slept together on the armchair.
Yeah.
They've like bonded as well. So everybody's in a good place.
Maggie points out that they haven't grown.
They haven't grown overnight, yeah, which is interesting. Lily shows up to say, look, Ken's here.
She gives a spiel about our body's weird.
Yeah.
You think about it.
Yeah.
Very complicated, very weird. But, she talks about how long the lifespan of a red blood cell is compared to a white blood cell. And that, your body changes throughout your life. It develops, And over human history, that bodies evolve. Yeah. They have evolved.
And that's what we're seeing here, maybe. But she's like, Ken's here. Well, she calls him Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts is here. He wants to see you both. And also, he wants to see your creatures. Yeah. Bring your creatures with you. He can help you finish.
Yeah.
That's what she says. Which the guy last week could have done with that. He needed help finishing.
He did, yeah. Very true.
They go to see this guy. This guy, Ken Roberts, is at a campfire.
Yeah, he's got Eric.
He's got Eric, and he seems to be berating Eric. He's not happy with Eric. Yeah. Eric's kind of almost in the fetal position, being shouted at by this guy. And Roberts just explains it as Eric's having a setback.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you both. Basically, introduce himself,
and he says, I'm really proud of you both.
Yeah. And Paul's like, you could have told us about these things that were going to come out of us. He kind of confronts him, doesn't he, a little bit?
Yeah.
And Ken takes him aside, and he's like, it kind of makes Paul see his life for what it is, I guess. He makes him cry, basically.
There's two parts to it. He sort of, I think he gains Paul's trust by sort of saying, but I'm sure he uses the line on everyone. I'm trusting you with this information. It's like I can't tell people before they come here because I'm basically ostracized by the medical community. It's like I'm on the brink of something here.
Yeah.
But no one's buying into what I'm
Nobody's
doing.
going to take me seriously.
And then he sort of psychoanalyzes Paul, and he does. He breaks him down.
Breaks
he
down.
Cry.
Literally within 2 minutes. He makes him cry.
He said, if you really looked at yourself,
yeah.
you blame. I've seen your file. You blame all this. Your breakdown of your relationships on all these other things that happened. But if you ever looked at yourself, is there anything that you've done wrong?
Yeah.
And obviously hits a chord because.
Yeah, because there is.
Oh, yeah, there must be. Because he starts crying.
Yeah, he does. And then he takes them both off together into the woods, Maggie and Paul, and he kind of blindfolds them both.
Yeah.
And he tells them that basically you've just got to confront your life now, and you can, if you do it with your eyes closed, you can do it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But then, just after he's blindfolded them both, he takes Paul's blindfold off, but leaves Maggie's on.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know that Paul's not now blindfolded, and he reveals that Ken reveals that he knows that she lied about her husband. He knows that none of her story is true, but he tells her she's got to respect the process.
Yeah. She says, why are you here? What's your pain?
What is your pain? Why are you here? What is the real story of Maggie? And she reveals basically that she doesn't like the way she looks. She thinks she's ugly and she wants to lose some weight.
She says, I want to lose weight. And he says, no, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
That's not the truth. That's not why you're here.
She's like, I went to an audition and I wasn't thin enough for the role and I really wanted the role. And then she starts crying and he's not. He's pushing her to try and break her down, basically. Get all this negativity out.
And he's like, he's that sort of, and he's trying to get.
And eventually the truth comes out.
She says, well, I've given up.
Yeah, I've given up. I think I'm ugly. I think I'm fat. I've given up on life. And he thanks her for revealing all of that to him, and he removes her blindfold. And he basically reveals what's been going on. In one line of dialogue, he explains this whole film pretty much. He's like, the cleanse expels all your negativity and puts it in that.
Yeah.
So that creature that's sitting there in front of you is all of your negativity. And now we move on to the termination phase because you've got to kill it.
Yeah.
If you kill that creature now, you'll kill all of your negativity.
You will walk away from here.
You will walk away here
new
a
lease
different,
on life.
new lease on life, a different person.
Yeah.
He says it's the only way you can be free.
Yeah.
That was his line. But she can't do that. She's like, she's bonded with this creature. She needs this creature in her life.
And he's looking up at her all
it's all
doughy-eyed.
So she runs off. She leaves the creature, but she runs off. And then Paul figures out what's going on. And for a second, you think he's going to do it. But then he bags up both creatures and also follows her. He runs off as well. Into the.
She's fast.
She is fast. She's gone.
Because he's got no idea where she's
just gone.
But we did see her running, I suppose.
Yeah. So he doesn't find her. And then it's nighttime and Paul's back in his cabin again. Yeah. And he goes to leave. Basically, he's like, I need to get out of here. But before he leaves, he goes to check on Eric and Laurie. And Laurie's dead.
Yeah.
In bed.
Yeah.
She's very grey. And Eric's basically like, look, this is my fault. You need to leave me here.
Yeah. He said she couldn't get it out.
She couldn't get it out. Couldn't, whatever it was, she couldn't do it. And he's kind of getting angry at Paul to just like, leave me alone. I need to grieve my girlfriend that's just died of a creature. So he goes to Maggie's cabin.
And he just says simply...
But she's there. She's she's run off back to her own cabin.
He just says, we need to go now.
Yeah, we need to go now. Laurie's dead.
Yeah.
And they do. They get out. They get out into a field. And Ken and Lily are there. They confront them. Basically stop them. And they say, look, it's Laurie's fault. She didn't follow the instructions. It's not our fault that she's dead. She didn't follow what we told her to do. And in the paperwork, it was revealed that you might die from this. You need to follow the rules.
But Ken's trying to strike a deal. I think he's worried. He's like...
He can't let these creatures out into the world.
Yeah.
Because he's already not taken seriously by the scientific community. And he's like, you can go. Have my car.
He says, I'm giving you permission to go.
Yeah.
Leave the bag with the creatures in.
You need to leave them with us.
We'll take care of it.
But
we're going to terminate them.
But you are free to go. This is a done deal. We're done here. Scout's honour. He even says Scout's honour. But you can't take those creatures with you. You can't let those leave this site. Lily then, she gets a bit more, she's a bit
Paul
more aggressive.
Said, why? Why can't we take them?
Yeah. And Lily's a bit more aggressive about it. She's like, look, you're not strong enough to finish this course. You're not. Yeah. And Paul's like, well, you're not having these creatures. It's not happening.
And then Ken's absolute last gambit
he's like,
is to share with them.
Even I didn't finish this course. Even I couldn't do it.
Only one person has ever finished it.
And she's standing next to me.
Yeah.
Lily. Lily's the only person that's ever done this.
And he says she finished for me as well.
Yeah.
She
meaning she killed his creature. Paul then just grabs his car key and also takes the bag of creatures. And then Fredericks is dead.
Well, no, just as they turn around, Ken shouts after them, "It will kill you."
Yeah, you will die.
And then there's almost a comic aside where we see Fredericks on his porch, getting
covered in blood, just getting dragged back into
his by a tentacle.
So his negativity's just got bigger and bigger until it's killed him. They're driving off, and the creatures are now huge in the back of their car. They're getting bigger in this bag. Yeah. And Maggie's like,
because they're feeding off the panic and the
negativity. Maggie's like, maybe we do need to kill these things. Maybe we should do this because they're getting too big. And it bites. One of them bites Maggie's arm. It literally takes her whole arm in its mouth. And while Paul's trying to stop this,
trying to help Maggie, down on her hand
in the back seat.
Yeah.
So he's trying to help her. He's turning around, crashes the car into a tree, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah.
Paul then wakes up in the crashed car. Maggie isn't there next to him, but he can hear noises. Yeah. And he looks out of the smashed window screen, and she's basically clubbing one of these things to death with a rock outside.
But and Paul gets out to see what's going on, and their two creatures have kind of merged
into one thing,
into one horrific, like,
it's got like two faces, three mouths,
Brundlefly from in the fly, you know.
And they've got like almost got like human faces now as well.
I would just say, because you can still recognise the features of the two different creatures, but they're like amalgamated. And really good practical effects.
Oh yeah, they're
of just a fucking
there's no CGI in this. This is all practical. These are real like latex creatures.
Yeah.
There's going to be one of my points at the end that the practical effects are really good. You can see why this guy's been given a Critters film to make.
Yeah,
because that's what Critters is, isn't it? So Maggie's clubbing it. That's not killing it. Paul's like,
it's crying.
It's dying. Yeah. She's killing it. But Paul's like, well, I need to help her out here. So he starts strangling it. She then starts strangling it from behind,
Yeah.
and eventually this thing does die. And then they hug, and then the film ends.
Yeah.
That's the end of your film. What do you think?
When this film ended,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I liked it.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd been through a journey.
Oh, yeah, there's a journey here, definitely.
In a couple of days since, I've reflected on it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I did like it.
Okay.
I think I've got a couple of problems with it, which we'll come to in a minute. But overall, I
think there's one big problem with it.
I wonder if it's the same as mine.
Go on.
No, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'll just finish my positivity. Overall, I liked it. It's different. I like it's quite a simple story, this, and the way they frame it with the negativity being these creatures. And it's a little bit gimmicky, but it's a pretty simple. It's weird. If I had have caught this late night, TV on a TV channel, I think if you catch this at the right time, you're stopping.
Yeah, definitely.
And watched it,
so.
and at the end you're going, "Fuck, that was weird," but I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was really interesting.
Yes, I think that was been my review of it. Fuck, that was weird, but I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What's your issue?
I don't think Jonny Galecki is very good at all.
I agree. That is one of my issues with it. I don't think either of them are. I don't think Anna Friel's that great.
I think she's better.
She's better.
He cannot emote. He does not emote in this movie
I'm with you.
at all.
I agree.
He's like a fucking rock.
It's really difficult to feel sorry for him.
He's supposed to.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be.
He's supposed to be this really sympathetic character who's
being
like
emotional.
Yeah.
He's not got it in this.
He hasn't. I agree. That was one of my points I was going to make.
He shows no charisma in this movie.
No. And which is really weird because he's actually a really good. He is a good actor.
I think it's a really poor performance.
I agree. That was one of my points as well. I'm glad you've said that. You're supposed to feel sorry for him, but he's never got any emotion on his face. He's like, he never looks like he's going to. Even when he's crying, he's not crying.
I don't believe him when he's crying.
Exactly. That's a great.
And I don't think that's the character. I feel like that's the performance.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think Anna Friel was that good in it either. I think her guard's up all the way through it, and it's really difficult to bond with her character because she's always.
But she's lying. At least that's set up at the start.
That's fair. But I feel like she just wasn't in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the message is really weak. The message is...
Is it too simple? Because it is simple, isn't it?
Yeah, it's get your negativity out and kill it. Like, the message of this film is basically stop being negative.
Yeah.
Get rid of your negativity. And I don't think it's as easy as that. I don't think it's as easy as
it's a 75-minute movie that you...
But also, they've got like... This creature represents your negativity. If you kill it, you will not have any negativity in your life.
Does it start to build again?
But then they don't... They take them. And I'm like, you've really mixed up your message there because they don't want to kill this thing off. So they want to get rid of their negativity, but they don't want to. Do you know what? Am I making sense?
Be ready to.
Yeah, and it's. I feel like the message wasn't quite handled well.
Yeah,
because they made it too cute. It's like, yes, kill this thing off, and it will. But then you don't also. They do kill it off at the end, but you don't find out if it actually worked or if it actually happened or. I feel like the message is really convoluted in it. It's a really simple message that they didn't quite.
But I don't know if it would have been too patronising to then do a sort of 6 months later.
I'd have liked a post-credit scene of them being like millionaire couple living in New York, like super happy.
Well, that's that. Yeah,
because I feel like that's what this film needs. It's so stupid, this film, that you've just got to give me that little bit at the end to say, yeah, that fucking worked.
I think, or you do a sting where the reverse has happened, and maybe one of them's happy. They don't have to necessarily be together.
Yeah,
maybe one of them's happy, and the other one has started to build up some negativity. Yeah.
It's like release your negativity, kill your negativity, but we're not going to tell you what happens if you do.
Yeah, and
that was a little bit disappointed in the ending, but overall, I think it's really It's really stupid. It's batshit crazy.
I always think part of the issue with Galecki's character is we weren't let in enough
It was really difficult to embrace him, wasn't it?
Yeah, we weren't let in enough at the start. There wasn't enough building blocks at the start. It was literally just a line, oh, my girlfriend's left me, I lost my job.
Yeah. It's really difficult to feel sympathy for a character when you've not given any reason to.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really look like he wants you to. I do think he let this film down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think a different actor maybe would have given a better performance. Maybe would have made the film better.
But, he's been in the biggest sitcom in the world for the last 10 years. Does this get made without him?
Yeah.
It's the old catch-22.
2016 as well. It's peak Big Bang Theory. He was also in Roseanne, which is one of the biggest sitcoms of the 80s. He's like a huge sitcom star, but he doesn't carry this movie very well. I'm with you on that. What's the best thing about it?
I think it's the practical effects.
It is. 100%.
The creature design's great.
Yeah, it is.
I kind of wish I'd seen more of Frederick's creature, but I know why we didn't, because it was fucking massive and really expensive.
Yeah.
So, I totally get that. But
but we got to see the big one at the end.
Yeah.
And it did look great. It was ugly as fuck, but it did look great. And the cute little creatures are cute.
Yeah.
And they're always on a table. They're hand puppets is what they are.
Yeah.
But they are really it really worked. A CGI creature you could never do that.
No,
this
has really benefited from them being practical.
It has to be practical for this 100%. To work. What would you change about it? You just recasting Jonny Galecki.
I think that's the first.
Who are you casting? Who are you changing?
That's the first thing I can do. I would do. There's a lot of people out there, man.
There is.
I don't know if I'm about to suggest this because he's done a few what I would say left field career choices. But I think Daniel Radcliffe would knock this out of the park.
That's a great shout. That's a really good shout. Yeah. I'm with you.
Because I feel like, because he did Horns, Swiss Army Knife, I feel like this is in that sort of wheelhouse.
Yeah, it is.
But
I can see why you've suggested him for it, but it would work.
Yeah.
Maybe even somebody like Aaron Paul.
He'd probably be better off in this than in The Parts We Lose.
That's the sort of person you need in this. Jonny Galecki's not right for it.
No.
I don't know. It's not a comedy film. There's not that much funniness in it.
No, but he doesn't have to.
No, but they've cast a sitcom star because they've cast a sitcom star because it's trying to be funny. They didn't need to. They could have cast, like you've just said, Daniel Radcliffe, and it would have been the same film. It would have just probably been a bit better.
Yeah,
it isn't a comedy film.
No,
it's just a weird creature film. It's a really strange film. But I don't say it was a comedy.
But I don't argue against myself. I can kind of see why you choose someone like that because it is a bit of a left field choice.
Yeah,
but he just didn't bring it.
He didn't. He just didn't turn up. It was like he was phoning it in, wasn't it? It was really strange. IMDb has it as a comedy, drama, fantasy, horror, sci-fi. It's definitely not a horror.
I don't think there's anything horrific about
it. Sci-fi, fantasy, yeah.
It's not sci. Is it? It's not. Is it
it's sci-fi. It's fictional science, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not fantasy.
No, it's not fantasy. Weird. Cool. Well, we can't talk Stream Table.
I think it's the best film we've seen this season.
Where does it go in the last season's Stream Table? I think it's the best film we've seen this season as well.
I want to say it's. I don't like playing this game. It might be around 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Mid-table-ish.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see where it ends up in this season's Stream Table.
Yeah, it will.
It's certainly one for the next few weeks. We're going to have to compare films to this film. It should be fun. That's going to be fun, isn't it?
It's a job.
Right. Well, I think we've done everything we need to say about The Cleanse.
Yeah.
Do you have any final words?
I'm just thinking, if someone said to me, "Oh, this movie, should I watch it?"
Yeah.
What would I say? And I think I might say, yes, because it's weird.
I'd be like, it's really fucking weird. If you want to watch something
different.
That's weird, yeah. I'd be like, I'll watch that with you. It's weird, but we'll have a bit of fun with it. I think there's better films of this caliber out there.
I agree.
But, yeah.
I don't think this is one we're going to come to the end of this season and go, what was that again?
Yeah, you're probably right. But definitely, it's not one that's going out of the memory banks anytime soon. I don't.
So it's got that going for it.
It has. Right. Shall we pick next week's film?
Let's pick week 2.
Week 2, season 8. What do you want?
A comedy.
A comedy again?
What do you mean
We've
again?
had Rainbow Time. We've had this.
It wasn't a comedy.
Well, neither of them are, but they're both classed as it.
No, they're not.
I want a really fucking scary horror film.
Okay, I'll be good with that.
We've not done a proper scary film for ages.
No.
You ready?
Sure.
It has picked a movie called The Giver. Any ideas?
No. I've never heard of it.
Same, nor me. I have never heard of it. Do you want me to find it on IMDb?
Yes, please.
Okay, The Giver is from 2014. Do you want the synopsis?
I would love it.
In a seemingly perfect community without war, pain, suffering, differences or choice, a young boy is chosen to learn from an elderly man about the true pain and pleasures of the real world.
Okay. If you say so.
Nick, this film's got quite the cast.
Okay.
Now, I feel like this might be a little bit topper of the stream than we usually go.
Right.
People in this film is Brenton Thwaites, who was also in Ghosts of War with the guy from this week's film.
Oh, yeah, he was, yeah.
How weird. Jeff Bridges.
Oh, wow, okay.
Meryl Streep.
Oh, wow.
Here's an outside one for you. Taylor Swift. Alexander Skarsgård returns again. Katie Holmes.
How have I never heard of this movie?
I feel like this might have passed us by. This maybe is a little bit more top of the stream than we usually go, but I've certainly never heard of it.
No, me neither.
So, and the only rule on the show is that it's got to be on Netflix, and me or you can't have heard of it.
Yeah.
So it's legal.
We'll go with it.
We're going with it. It might be a bit more upstream than we normally go with the cast like that. 6.4 on IMDb as well, so quite high. But only 120,000 reviews, which isn't many.
Well, that's not
maybe
a ridiculous amount.
Maybe it was one of these big budget movies that just doesn't hit. But I've never heard of it.
No, me neither.
I guarantee Ross Cook's seen it like 4 times, but he's like a weirdo. Cool. So that'll be episode 2 of season 8 of Bottom of the Stream. Go out and watch The Giver. And in the meantime, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd, the same username, at BOTS_podcast. If you want to drop us an email, our email address is bottomofthestream@gmail.com, and our website is bottomofthestream.com. On the website, you will find every episode we've ever recorded, all the stream tables, loads of other cool stuff, and you can even get some merch if you want a Bottom of the Stream
cushion cover. Cushion.
You did cushion like 3 weeks ago.
No, I didn't.
You did, because we had the argument about pin cushions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what things are. Poster.
Yeah, there's definitely Bottom of the Stream posters.
Just our faces on it. You can't get that.
No, you can't get that. I've lost track. Yeah, do all of that and then head over to Patreon, patreon.com/bottom of the stream. On there for a couple of quid every month, you will get early access to episodes. You will get bonus episodes. We're going to do more bonus episodes in season 8. That's our season 8 resolution. You'll get a newsletter that Nick writes every month.
Yep.
And if you come in at the top level, you will get a wild card. We're in a new season. Wild cards are back in play. Message to the Patreons there. You can play your wild card whenever you want to.
Indeed.
Basically, having a wild card means that we don't use the randomizer that week. You pick the film and we'll watch it.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, and it's also a competition. So you might win. If yours is the highest one in the table at the end of the season, you win a prize. We've never followed through on any of the prizes, but we will give out a prize. After you've done all that, head over to Discord. The Discord community is really cool. We have lots of fun chats in there. We do movie watch-alongs. We play games. Loads of other cool stuff. We talk about the show, obviously, all the time.
Generally putting the world to rights.
Generally, that's what we do. Netflix recommendations, loads of them goes on in there. It's a really cool place to hang out. The Discord link will be in the bottom of the show notes.
If you can spare a few minutes, please consider leaving us a review or a rating. Anywhere you can review or rate podcasts. We are on all of those places. Podbean, Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, all the ones you know, all the ones you don't know, all the ones we don't know. Just come and find us.
And if you find one we're not on, let us know and we'll get on it.
Yeah.
So
that's the challenge.
Go out, tell everybody about the show. We need more listeners to come in and enjoy this because more people need to know about films like The Cleanse.
Of course.
Tell everybody you know to come and listen. And we'll be back on Monday with The Wave and next Thursday for a film about The Giver. A show about The Giver.
A film called The Giver.
A film called The Giver and a show about it.
Cheers.
Bye.